What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I am super excited to be making this video today. Next to me here, I have a 2024 Chevy Silverado EV RST. This RST is currently the highest trim level available for the Silverado EV. You can get a work truck variant, and I've reviewed that on the channel. If you want to watch that, I'll have it linked down below and in the card above. But currently, in this first edition run, this RST is your top of the line model and your only customer facing model that isn't a work truck. There will be other trims that come along down the line, but for now, they're starting with this kind of top spec RST model, and this thing is fully loaded, and we're gonna take a look at everything in this video. And the timing actually works out really well because I literally just published a full review of the Tesla Cybertruck. If you wanna watch that, I'll have it linked down below over on my tech channel, Mets Tech. But now I can directly compare it with a very similarly priced top of the line Silverado EV. So I'll sprinkle in some tidbits of similarities and differences between the two models. But again, if you wanna watch the Cybertruck review and all other EV reviews over on my tech channel, Mets Tech, definitely head over there and hit subscribe. Now, starting here up front, you just have a full wall of LEDs here. So you've got some LED daytime running lights, you've got an LED light bar that runs across the front. From what it looks like, this is an illuminated Chevy badge, and then you have a full kit LED high beams and main beams here as well. Some RST badging, some pretty aggressive lines on the front hood, and this super mean looking front end. Lots of little angles and sharp edges and stuff around this kind of air intake area to help cool the battery. You've got ultrasonic sensors, you've got a splitter with some cool ground effects, you've got some little passive vents here. You do also have a front-facing camera that's gonna work with that HD surround vision. So you've got one in the front, one on each side mirror, and then you actually have 3 cameras in the back. One is on the tailgate that works as just your standard rear view camera. Then you have a bed camera up top, as well as your rear view mirror camera, which is right next to the bed camera up top to give you the best possible view out that back mirror. And then since this is an EV, under the hood you have Chevy's eTrunk, or their frunk basically. You can open it by double tapping here on the key fob. There's also a button inside the cabin. It's kind of freaking me out a little bit. It's doing some weird stuff. But when it actually does lift up, it's gonna give you access to 10.7 cubic feet of lockable front storage. You've got hooks, you've got room for a cargo net, you've got your towing eye, you've got a tire inflation kit, LED lights, you've got a 120 volt outlet in here. So much functionality in here. Plus you have these 2 little cup holders too, which is interesting. You've got your dual level charging cable here. This is a real beefy one that I haven't seen before, but it's gonna pair with your onboard 19.2 kilowatt AC charging system, DC fast charging up to 350 kilowatts. Your other end of your dual level charging cable. But again, this is lockable storage, so you can put all your goodies in here. Go ahead and press this button. It will close up for you. Not been my experience today, but ideally. Something's wrong with this. It doesn't close when I double tap the thing. It pretends like it's going to, but it doesn't. That's really annoying. Now the RST here is sitting on these massive 24-inch wheels here. They're a 2-tone wheel, really nice, unique design, and then it sits on 24-inch wheels as well, so a nice little pairing there. Absolutely massive premium wheels. They look really nice. So these side mirrors here, nice beefy body-colored side mirrors here. They've got integrated turn signals. They've got the cameras built in for your HD surround vision. They're heated, power folding, auto dimming, the whole suite of features here, and not to mention they are massive, so plenty of visibility out these things. Now, not a whole lot of crazy body lines here on the Silverado. A lot of people that see this Silverado EV think that it's like a reimagining of the Avalanche, and I understand why. It's got this little piece here that's very Avalanche-esque. This one actually has the Midgate, which is an Avalanche thing that they took away. We'll take a look at that in just a sec. So I understand why people think it's like that, and it does share a lot of stylings like that. So if you loved the Avalanche when that was available, you're gonna love the look of the Silverado EV here, and you're gonna like the performance of this a lot better. This one has the assist steps as well that have your little EV branding on them. You've got the Silverado EV badge down here with the 3 blue lines. I really like that. Keyless access here on the door panels. Up top, you're gonna have a full glass roof here, but it is a fixed roof, so you're not gonna be able to close a shade or anything like that. So you may wanna buy a shade to cover that up just to keep the heat down in the cabin. Now, as far as performance goes, the Silverado EV RST here is powered by a 205 kilowatt hour GM Ultium propulsion battery pack, which is gonna give you 754 horsepower, 785 185 pound-feet of torque while achieving an EPA estimated 440 miles of range. So that's more range than the Cybertruck is estimated to get, but lower horsepower and significantly lower torque, which makes sense, at least when directly comparing the RST here to the Cyber Beast Cybertruck, which are the most comparable price-wise. Now, this RST does have all-wheel drive and an air ride adaptive suspension, so you can actually raise and lower the height of the vehicle using the button on the inside. All right, so moving here to the tailgate, you're gonna have LED taillights here, which are nice big taillights. They're sculpted, nice 3D elements to them as well. Some corner assist steps. You've got ultrasonic sensors all around this thing. Gives you a ton of great feedback. It even vibrates in your butt on the seat to let you know. You have this soft tonneau cover that we installed as an option. Not a big fan of soft tonneau covers, but you do have one. You can probably get a bigger, better one from a third party, but soft tonneau cover there. You've got all kinds of hooks and tie down points and things. And then if we work our way around the tailgate here, you're gonna get more Silverado badging. You got some more kind of textured bumper appliques on the steps there. Now, of course, you're not gonna have any exhaust because this is an EV, but you do have a towing hitch here, and it has a max towing capacity of 10,000 pounds, although Chevy has said that they're gonna be coming out with a 20,000 pound model down the line. Now, this tailgate here is Chevy's multi-flex tailgate, so it has a ton of great functionality. You can press this button here, fold down just this top portion. You could put like your laptop on here, or a clipboard, or a toolkit, or whatever the heck, just at eye level here. And you can fold that back up. You can push this button to drop the entire tailgate, but it gets better. Then you can push this button again to drop the middle portion, and then push this handle here and fold down a step, so you can get a little extra boost to get up into the bed here. Of course, you could just use your corner steps, but that's not as fun, and this is way cooler looking. And this does have a max capacity on this step of 379 pounds, so just keep that in mind. Fold it up, fold this portion, and boom, right back in. Now, the only thing missing back here, in my opinion, is a power up tailgate, but I guess I understand with all that flexing and stuff, I guess they couldn't fit that in, but you push it and it just doesn't go back up. But it is an easy lift tailgate. Rear camera back here, big Chevy bow tie, big RST badging. That's about all the badging. But if we put this back down, you can see we have about a 6-foot bed here. This does have Chevy's spray-on bed liner here. It does have the multi-flex Midgate, which we'll take a look at in just a second. But one other cool thing you can do is if you've got really large objects, let's say drywall, for example, and you don't want the potential of it sliding off the back, you can lift up this back portion again here, and it creates kind of a stop wall. So, you know, big long pieces of drywall, 2x4s, sheets of wood, whatever, are gonna bounce right up against this and not slide off the back. You do have a ton of hooks, mounting points and things, and you have a little power wall back here that has 220 volt outlets and one 240 volt outlet, and some LED lights. Now, moving back here to the charge port area, you could just push, pop this open here. You get an LED indicator light on the inside. Like I mentioned earlier, 19.2 kilowatt AC onboard charging here, up to 350 kilowatt fast charging if you pop this plug out and plug it into any number of fast charging stations around the country. And Chevy claims you can get up to 100 miles of range in just 10 minutes of DC fast charging. All right, so I wanted to show you guys how you can use this multi-flex Midgate that I mentioned a little bit earlier. Now, if you don't know these steps, they're actually stamped right here, but you can also follow along with what I'm doing. It has a couple different configurations you can do. Of course, you've got all this flat storage here. So if you want to just fold the seats up and get like a full, flat area back here, you can do that. Just lift with these loops here in the center of both the bench seat and the individual seat. And then you can pull these loops here on the far side, fold down not only the smaller seat, the 40 portion, but also the 60 portion here. And then you've just got a little bit more kind of rugged storage area here if you want to lay something down, but you can continue to kind of evolve this thing. So first and foremost, you have this little carpeted area back here. It may seem weird that there's carpet there, but there's a reason for that. But before we do that, you've got these little buttons here. They're electronic buttons. You can push them with just this configuration here, and they're going to drop this panel here, and then this panel here also. Basically what that does is extend the truck bed into the cab, right? The Midgate, as they call it. So you get a little bit of extra length. You can put larger objects. You can make stuff work that might not have worked before. There still is kind of the back windshield still is there in case, bad weather, or you just don't want to have to take that off every time. You have that flexibility to just leave it like this, where you can slide longer objects into the bed here and into the cab, but still have this whole back panel on. But if you want to increase the space and dimensions even more, you can push these back up. That's going to give you this little carpeted area like I mentioned. And what you can actually do is take the back windshield out. So there's these little levers here. You can pull those down. There's a little catch here that's going to catch that window from falling. You can move that up. You can grab these two little rubber holding points, lift the back windshield out, and then you're going to put it on this carpeted area that I mentioned earlier. That's going to keep it from getting scratched, protect it pretty effectively, and just snap it into place. It's going to click down with this kind of holding piece here, and there's these little arms that you can push on either side to lock that window into place even more. Then, if you go to press these electronic buttons, the whole gate is going to fold down. Boom. And you may have noticed the seat belts are tucked away. There's some little slots here that you can just fit the tongue into. That's going to hold it in place there. But now, if this, tonneau cover wasn't here, you'd have this whole entire opening that you could fit massive objects in. So whether that be moving boxes that you want to stack kind of into the cabin, or, just taller overall objects, maybe like piece of lawn equipment that doesn't fit height-wise, and totally flexible, Midgate flexible, multi-flex, if you will, in the Midgate area. Now you have even more space for super long items or more heavy-duty stuff. I mean, you could probably fill this thing with so many bags of mulch. That's all I can think about when I see all this space. But really, really cool that you have that as a possibility, because not every electric truck has that possibility. But it really separates the Silverado here, which is cool. Now, if you want to back this back up, just reverse what I just did, but it's a little time consuming. So again, lift this Midgate back up, snap that into place, open this glass here, grab these little rubber pieces, lift it out, fit it back into the slot up here. It's going to sink down, push it back, and then snap these little pieces into place. Now you can grab the lever again, lift the backrest up. You've actually got some little storage compartments and things under here, which is kind of nice, and you can see your Bose speakers, so that's cool. Then you can fold the base of the seats back down, and you're back to normal. All right, hopping here into the cabin of the RST. I got a lot of things to say. There's a lot of good, and there's one glaring bad, and we'll get to that in just a sec. But let's start over here on the door materials. So you get a little bit of a textured plastic material, then a little bit of a smooth material, then some leather on the armrest here with two-tone accent stitching, blue and red. Then basically everything else down is plastic, and that same kind of theme continues. So you have that scratchy material up top across the dash, two-tone accent stitching, got a little rubber pad up top for like your phone or other storage, standard glove box down here, but it's all black plastic from about stomach level down, except for over on the center console, which has more of that textured plastic and some pockets on the side. You do also have a Bose premium audio system. You do have my mortal enemy all over this cabin, and that is gloss black plastic. It's covered in dust, and this vehicle has 36 miles on it. Fingerprints, you name it. But over here on the vents, you get a cool little red accent, which I really like, with these kind of similar, Camaro-y inspired vents with this little sliding piece. They don't rotate though, that's the only difference there. You've got an electronic parking brake, you've got your ride height adjustment over on the left side here, your lane keep assist, your front and trunk opening buttons, your brightness controls for your infotainment display, trailering brake here on the side as well. Then you have this massive leather wrapped heated steering wheel here with Super Cruise standard on the RST, which is great, absolutely necessary, should always be like that. Honestly, all the Chevy EVs should have Super Cruise standard. But you've got your regen on demand paddle on the back, lights and wipers on a combo stock on the left, and then your shift stock is on the right side. This is very common. This is what we're seeing on all of Chevy's new vehicles, so no surprise here. You've got your advanced adaptive cruise control options on the left side with your Super Cruise button as well, and then all of your media controls and your heated steering wheel controls are on the right side of the steering wheel. You have your little RST badge on the bottom, some red accent stitching, a little bit of a black accent as well, and then past the steering wheel you're going to have your little sensor that watches your eyes, so it makes sure you're paying attention for Super Cruise. Now if you watch my work truck review, you know it has the lower tier infotainment and digital gauge cluster configuration, so it had an 8-inch digital gauge cluster and an 11-inch infotainment display. This has the top of the line package, so this is going to have the 11-inch gauge cluster, 17.7-inch infotainment displays. These are powered by Google. They have all the Google software built right in, so Play Store, Maps, Google Assistant, Google Podcast, Google News, all that kind of stuff's built right in. I've talked a lot about the things that I like and don't like about this display. I think the functionality is off the charts. I think it does a really good job with everything. It's smooth, fluid, responsive, no issues there. Just the aesthetic of it is not my favorite. It's a little bit cluttered in my opinion. You do have a lot of customizations. You can push this button on the steering wheel, click through different gauge layouts here. You get a full screen map view. You can see your adaptive systems. You can see all the vehicle information, but my favorite view is the super clean layout, just what I prefer. and I think it looks nice. You do also have a head-up display past the steering wheel there that has a couple different things you can customize on it. Always nice to have that as an option at least. But over here, the 17.7-inch infotainment display, like I said, super fluid, super responsive, very modern design, but just a little bit cluttered in my opinion. But you've got tons of great functionality. You've got different drive modes you can switch through, including a custom drive mode. And this is how you access your wide open watts mode, which will give you the most horsepower, the most torque to give you your fastest 0 to 60 time, which we'll definitely check out when we do the test drive. Google Assistant, Play Store, you got your full charging menu that allows you to customize your charging schedule, basically find charging stations, things like that. Full 360-degree camera system, top-down view. You can switch through all of your different camera views, side hitch. You've even got a bed cam, which I love. On a truck, you gotta have a bed cam. I really wish the Cybertruck did. That's one of the big things that I think it's missing. But you can also enable your bed lights from this button here. Full trailering menu, like I said, you've got an auto park assist, which we'll check out at the end of the test drive, on-screen climate controls, and this is a dual zone climate control system, but you do have rear vents. Now you all may know that GM took Apple CarPlay and Android Auto away from their EV models only. So if you want to get that, you're gonna have to get a gas model, or little hack here, you can just get an EV work truck, because they don't care about your safety when using Apple CarPlay and Android Auto on the EV work trucks, only on the top of the line models. But you do have some vents down here as well. Physical climate controls in addition to the on-screen climate controls, so a nice mixture of both. People are gonna like that. You do have a Qi-enabled wireless charging pad down here. It's kind of at a weird angle though. It does have some bumpers to fit your phone, so if you have an absolutely massive phone, it may not work. My iPhone 15 Pro Max fits. You do have 2 USB-C charging ports and then a 12-volt outlet down here as well. 2 cup holders here, and then a little pocket behind the cup holders, and a little cool tip for you guys. If you grab this handle right here, kind of underneath the cup holders, you can slide them back and out of the way. You get access to a secret compartment down here that has just a nice rubber pad down there for just extra hidden storage. And you get another little Easter egg of this old Chevy truck transitioning into this new Silverado EV to kind of show, you know, their heritage and where they came from, which is neat. But you can slide this cup holder to multiple different positions. So if you want it all the way out of the way, you can do that. If you want it kind of halfway, so you can still use the cup holders but still access the pocket, you can do that as well. And then slide it all the way up to that locked position where it blocks the whole opening and you can store stuff down there. Now, on this leather wrapped center console, you get two-tone accent stitching, like I've said, and really cool Silverado first edition badging. I really like this. I'm glad they give you a commemorative badge. It just helps make it feel more special because this is kind of a piece of history, right? This is the first kind of consumer-facing all-electric Silverado. So this is a big step. So giving you that first edition badge is really cool. But we can lift up the center console here, get access to another USB-C charging port, little LED light in there, and a nice deep pocket with some textured bits on the bottom. That's a nice little touch, just showing that they put time and effort into everything. I like that. You do get two cup holders on the back of the armrest for second row passengers as well. But I think what I would end up doing is actually putting my water bottle back here just so it's out of the way of my hand. And then if I needed it, I could just kind of, you know, reach back and grab it. But if you have second row passengers, good for them too. Now up top you have an auto dimming smart rear view mirror. So this has a camera built into it. You can adjust the parameters of the camera, flick it back and forth to switch between your standard rear view mirror and that digital one. SOS buttons and LED dome lights up top, black liner, and just some nice big visors that do slide. Now as far as the seating surfaces go, these are a black leather seating surface with perforations down the center, heated and ventilated for driver and passenger. You do have some nice accent stitching, some red piping on the sides, and there are a couple interior options you can choose from. This one is the all black interior. So if you want something a little bit more high end, a little bit more premium looking than this all black, there is a black and white interior that I've seen, but the red piping is a nice touch. It helps add some contrast. But like I said, heated and ventilated for driver and passenger. Driver is an 8-way power adjustable seat with 2-way position memory, and it's got 4-way lumbar support. The passenger seat is also power adjustable, and you do have heated rear outboard seats. So I mentioned when I first hopped into the cabin that I liked a lot of what was in here, but I had one kind of big glaring issue. And I think my big glaring issue is just the interior materials. This truck stickers for $96,000. $96,000, basically $100 grand, and you get pretty pedestrian interior materials. When I reviewed the work truck, I said, I understand this. I know what its purpose is. I get that this is still a truck and you're gonna use it most likely for truck purposes, but it's still a $100,000 truck. It's like when people buy, you know, a high-end high country Silverado or something that has all the premium stitching and all this this kind of stuff. It's like, yeah, people are gonna use it like a truck, but the cabin portion should be luxurious, right, for that high of a price point. People aren't buying a crew cab high country Silverado so they can lug around a bunch of 2x4s. Maybe they wanna be able to do that, sure, that's fine. You buy it because it's got a ton of space, it has a high ride height, a lot of muscle to it. Those are the reasons you buy the most expensive truck. And this is the most expensive EV Silverado currently available. And they gave you black plastic all the way down, scratchy rubber materials on the door panels. You do have some leather some places, which is fine, but for the most part, it's this really weird, scratchy, textured material everywhere. But if it were me and I was trying to look in this price point and I walked in and looked at this thing at almost $100,000 and felt these interior materials, I'd walk straight out the door. I don't get it. I feel like there are higher end materials on the regular gas-powered Silverado. I don't understand what we're doing here. But let's hop in the back. All right, so hopping here into the back seats of the Silverado EV, tons and tons of legroom. Holy cow. I can stretch my legs all the way out at 6'1". I had my seat pretty far back, honestly, and I've got like, I don't know, like a foot maybe more of knee room here. Plenty of headroom as well. The roof kind of slopes up here. Again, you get that fixed panoramic roof up top that's absolutely beautiful, lets in a ton of light, makes it feel a lot brighter and airier back here. You got handles here, you got some hooks. Door materials take a hit. Like I was kind of ranting about just a minute ago, the door materials aren't that great up front and they get way worse back here. This is all just black plastic all the way down. You do have some accent stitching and a little bit of a kind of leather panel on one side and your Bose speaker, but that's about it. Got some cup holders down below. This center console does fold out here, give you 2 more cup holders and an armrest. But I mean, 3 passengers back here, no problem at all. 3 adults, honestly, are gonna be decently comfortable. 3 kids are gonna have more room than they'd ever need back here. You could fit car seats super easily, lots of movement. Like I showed with the Multiflex Midgate, you can pop that down and get extra storage capacity, extra cargo carrying capability, all that kind of stuff. But the passenger volume in here is top notch. Heated seats for the outboard passengers, like I said, rear vents, little pocket back here, 2 USB-C ports and a full-size 120-volt outlet, 2 map pockets, the works back here. All right, let's take the Silverado EV RST for a test drive. Now, like I mentioned, I am fresh off a full review and basically daily driving a 2024 Tesla Cybertruck Cyberbeast for 48 hours, 72 hours, something like that, like dailying it constantly. So I'm very used to that and that speed and that ride height and all that kind of stuff. So I really want to see how the Silverado RST, which is very similarly priced. This one's like, you know, 96,000 and the Cyberbeast, like MSRP is 99,000. Can't get it for that, but that's the MSRP. So very similar price points, similar-ish horsepower. Now the Cybertruck Cyberbeast is a tri-motor. This is a dual motor. It's a little different there. Cybertruck has a little more horsepower, but the RST here has a little more range. You know, there's some give and take with everything. I think that this RST Silverado functions more like a truck than the Cybertruck. The Cybertruck kind of feels like a really big SUV with a truck bed. It drives like a really big SUV with a truck bed. From everything I understand about the Silverado EV, you know, people think it feels like an SUV. I'll be the judge of that. I'm really interested in the speed because Chevy claims with this 205 kilowatt hour battery pack with 754 horsepower that the 0 to 60 is like 4.1 seconds or something like that with the wide open watts. So I really want to see if that is my experience because the Cybertruck 0 to 60 is about 2.6 seconds, which is unbelievable. So I want to see, you know, how this kind of fares. But we can go to driving mode. We can turn on the wide open watts. 3, 2, 1. Wow, that steering is weird. It like got away from me there. It was kind of all over the place. I mean, I don't know if it's 4.1 second feeling. I don't know if that feels like 754 horsepower, but it definitely feels fast. Say that much without a doubt. Again, I'm coming straight off the Cybertruck, so it's really not fair to like directly compare them, but they are competitors, direct competitors even. It just doesn't have the same like punch as the Cybertruck. Like you put the pedal to the floor and I mean, you're like pinned back to your seat. And again, it's got 100 more horsepower, but only 100 more horsepower. I don't know. It just doesn't have the same kind of zip and the same kind of aggressive feeling that the Cybertruck has. Maybe they don't care. Maybe that's not what they're going for. You know, when they advertise this, like the wide open watts thing, this is gonna blow my socks off. Let's try without the wide open watts and see if I can tell the difference. And I guess while we're waiting here, we can get a DB test at idle. about 51 dB, so it's a little loud at idle. I think it's because of that whirring sound that they're kind of piping in. I've talked about this in the past. Not my favorite. I don't like artificial sounds being piped in. I like my EVs quiet and fast, and this one could be fast, but it is not quiet. Not my favorite, but I think you can turn that off. But let's go ahead, now that we've got wide open watts off, and I mean, yeah, you can definitely tell the difference when that's on. That had no punch at all, and then I turn it on. I mean, it definitely, like, don't get me wrong, it definitely has more punch, but it's like they turn the noise up to make you, like, think, like, to mess with your brain that you're going way faster. The acceleration curve is steeper. It just sounds louder. I don't know. It's not my favorite. I guess while we're kind of cruising here, we can kind of talk about some things that I really like and some things that I don't like as much about the Silverado EV. Let's start with things that I really like about it. First and foremost, I absolutely love that multi-flex tailgate and multi-flex midgate. That is so cool to me. This isn't a new concept. I'm not a truck guy, so I don't have a ton of truck experience. I've used a multi-flex tailgate before. I've never used a multi-flex midgate, but I know that it's not a new concept. But the fact that you have it here on the EV, it just makes it so much more capable and so much more practical for truck people. And I really appreciate that. And I think it's such a cool feature. And they really have thought of everything. Protecting the glass, keeping it in place, giving you different options and configurations that you can change between, whether you want just the opening to be, you know, enclosed and still have your back window, or if you don't care about the back window and need the full, you know, space, you can do that. Really neat. For number two, I really like having that eTrunk. That's a really nice feature to have. I wish all of Chevy's EVs had it, you know, because it just makes such a difference. But having that extra 10.7 cubic feet of storage space that you can lock up, that's nice and kind of rugged. You can throw a backpack in there. You can throw a dirty gym bag, dirty boots. You know, it's got like actual practical purpose rather than having to put them in your nice cabin or toss them in the back of the truck where they're, you know, less accessible. And I don't know, I just like it. I think it's a good touch. Give it a juice. Maybe it's the four-wheel steer that makes it like that. I don't know, it's just like you lose control when you floor it. I think the third thing that I really like is just the technology overall. Like, I like having Super Cruise. It's not my favorite system, as I've discussed in depth, but I actually made a comparison between GM's Super Cruise and Tesla's full self-driving and autopilot. I'll have that link below, it's over on my tech channel. I put these two to the test, and I still think Super Cruise is a good system. It's not anywhere near FSD or autopilot in my opinion, but it's a really good system. But you just have a lot of different little technological things in here. The rear view mirror camera, the bed camera, outlets in different places, the adjustable air suspension, the Super Cruise, the huge displays everywhere. Like, there's just a lot of technology in this thing, and it makes it feel very modern. And it should be, because it's basically a brand new vehicle. Oh, and I really like the subtle little avalanche callbacks. Those are nice. But now let's talk about some things that I don't like as much. First and foremost, I've already complained about it in this video, ranted, stern monologue, whatever you want to call it. This cabin material set. It's just not my favorite. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what the point of giving you this type of materials with a vehicle that costs $96,000. I don't get that. There should be some real luxury materials in here for that price point. And from what I understand, this is like the highest trim level. Maybe they come out down the line with like a high country and that's higher than the RST or something, but from all that I understand so far, this is what we've got for the time being, and it just isn't that premium on the inside to me. Now, technology and stuff aside, the materials, like the door panel materials, the dash materials, not the best quality in my opinion. Number two, I've already mentioned it, it's the artificial noises that they kind of pipe in. And speaking of noise, let's get a highway dB test real quick while we're up here. Get about 69 dB. We can actually also use Super Cruise, turn on adaptive cruise control. There we go. And yeah, this is a true hands-free system. So it's gonna watch you and it's gonna keep you in the center of the lane, keep you away from the vehicle in front of you. And if you don't pay attention, it will beep at you. And one thing I really like about Super Cruise is you can actually take over the wheel, change lanes like this. The steering wheel will blink a few times blue, and then when it's ready to resume, it'll turn green again. You can let off the steering wheel again. So you don't have to enable and disable constantly. You can just kind of, oh, I need to make a quick maneuver. I need to get out of this lane. I can do that, and boom, Super Cruise is gonna blink a few times, then turn back on. Now, the big downside here, when we get off of this ramp, is Super Cruise is going to disengage because we're not on a pre-mapped highway anymore, and Super Cruise can't do anything if it's not on a pre-mapped highway. No road information available, disengages. That sucks. But it is nice to have a true hands-free hands-free system that works on most pre-mapped highways. And it will do auto lane changes for you. But I'm giving it too many positives here. I need to get back to my third complaint. My third complaint honestly just has to be the acceleration. And I just want to be explicitly clear here. It is by no means slow, boring, lethargic, none of those things. It is quick. It has a little bit of punch to it when you put on that wide open watts mode. You know, it's got very customizable steering, suspension, acceleration, motor sound, all that kind of stuff. Although I'm not really noticing too much of a difference when I turn off the motor sound in my mode. Not sure what that is. Not sure if that's a bug or what. I don't really know. But it's got absolute plenty of punch. Like, not throw you back roller coaster punch, but plenty of punch for something that's this big and this heavy. And for most people, it's gonna be like mind-blowing acceleration. The Silverado here's just at a disadvantage because I've been daily driving a Cyber Beast for 3 days. So it seems like when you're in wide open watts mode or whatever, you have that enabled, the sound stays no matter what. So if I were to turn that off, the acceleration sound is going to be what I set it under the My mode, which I set it to off, because I don't like additional noise piped in as I accelerate. I just want the car to go fast, or the truck to go fast in this case. If you turn on the wide open watts, it like immediately just goes, like it just kicks in. I'll show you. I'm in My mode, wide open watts is off. Floor it, nice speed, good pickup right there. No noise though, just the sound of the truck going. I love that, that's what I want. But we press the wide open watts button, immediately. So that's why the My mode customization wasn't working for me. Figured it out. I'm a smart guy, as long as it's all laid out in clear pictures. But overall, like, what is it like to use? Like, how smooth is the suspension? I've got it on the lowest possible setting, so it's gonna be a little bit more sporty, a little bit more connected, but you can raise the thing all the way up to a super high maximum, and then there's like an increased and a normal, and then the easy entry, whatever. It's very, very smooth. It's a nice ride. It's a premium plush ride. The only thing that I feel weird about is just the steering. Like, I've tried to really mess with the steering feel between touring, normal, sport, and I just don't feel like too much of a difference. Like, it all feels like varying degrees of very heavy. And so if you're looking for like the super precise sporty feel in the steering, I'm not getting that. I'm getting a very kind of heavy, little bit on the lethargic side, a little bit on, just a little bit on the disconnected side. Like, it just doesn't feel like it's cutting with every turn. I don't know. It's just me. So when people describe it as driving like an SUV, I'm like, does it though? Like, I kind of feel like it just drives like a truck. Like, you know, you got to kind of make these big sweeping moves to kind of get this thing to move around. It is strange though, whenever I do kind of floor it. That one wasn't bad. I have been having some issues when I floor it with the wheel kind of turning out from under me and kind of feeling like I don't have full control over it, which is a little bit weird. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. See, I just like not lose control, like I feel like I'm gonna crash, but like the wheels pull really hard to the right or really hard to the left, which is really weird. I'm guessing it's a byproduct of the four-wheel steering, but I'm not used to that. Not used to kind of it pulling really hard in one direction or the other. Let me actually get a DB test at city speed real quick. 62 dB or so. But overall, like, visibility is great. The A-pillar doesn't have a super big blind spot. Your side mirrors are huge. You have a rear view mirror camera here, big front glass, nice clean rear glass too if you need to look out of that, but I don't know why you ever would because you've got that rear view mirror camera. But already the fact that you can see out of the back with the tonneau cover closed gives it a win over the Cybertruck, which puts the camera on screen. You can't actually see out the back windshield if the tonneau cover is closed. You know, again, little things here and there. And I've given you a couple little things that are different between the Cybertruck and the Silverado here, but I'm going to be talking a little bit more in depth about my direct experience between the two over on my tech channel, Matt's Tech. So if you want to see that and you're maybe cross-shopping those two or wondering what it's like to live with the Cybertruck all the time, definitely go over there and check out my tech channel. But the seats are nice and comfortable too. They feel pretty bolstered, nice that they're cooled and heated and really adjustable. You can move that lumbar all around to get it to max comfort for you, which I really like. So that feels good. I think it rides and has the tech and has the, you know, speed and battery size and fast charging that make it really practical, right? For daily driving, for everyday use, for, you know, truck specific functionality and all that kind of stuff. I'm not sure though that it's $96,000 worth of truck. And I think it's solely battery price. I mean, that's typically the highest cost in any EV is the battery cost. So as GM continues to be able to manufacture their Ultium batteries for cheaper, or make them lighter, or make them more efficient, or make their motors more efficient, or whatever the case may be, cost will go down, no doubt about that. Like I said, this is the first edition, so similarly to the Cybertruck, electric vehicles are expensive to make. So, you know, Chevy's figuring that out at this kind of higher capacity and battery size and all that kind of stuff. So it's gonna be expensive. I would have just liked to have seen them put the materials in here to help justify the $96,000 worth of, you know, battery and other things that they put in here. Complete stop, pedal to the floor. Yeah, the wheels, man, I just like, feel like I'm not driving in a straight line. I feel like the wheels are like doing this number and I'm trying to like fight against it. That had a little bit of a pin to it, you know, it pushed me back a little bit in my seat, but I think it does feel like 4.1 seconds. I think I'm just used to 2.6 seconds, so 4.1 seconds feels significantly slower, but again, this is very, very fast. Let's try the auto park here. Pull past a parking spot. Okay, stop. Park. This is a tight spot. Make sure the GoPro's still recording. Yeah, I mean, I'll hop out and show you guys, but I think that was pretty good. Now, again, this doesn't work in an open parking lot. It only works if you have vehicles on either side or a wall or something like that. So it was a little close on the left side, had a little more space on the right side, so it could have adjusted a little bit. But I think for how tight this parking spot is and how close these cars are to the lines, I think it did pretty well. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Drop a like in the video if you loved it. Let me know down in the comments what you think about the Silverado EV RST here. I'd love to talk about it down in the comments. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button to be among the first to see every single new video the second I hit publish. We'll see you in the next one.